it's a street fight economy right now. The COVID timeframe for a lot of industries, we had so much money floating in the marketplace that, man, you just were able to grab business pretty easy. It's just there. Money, capital, interest rates were low. I mean, just raging across the board. When that all sort of dried up, they sort of got away from some of the fundamentals that pre-COVID we preached about your margins, about price increases, about managing your labor, about controlling your costs, and where those all needed to fall. And they haven't realized that, hey, you really now got to go grab that customer. Marketing is not as easy as it was.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to our conversation today with Mike Maxson from Simple Numbers. Mike, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we appreciate you investing the time. Our focus today is really going to be talking about Simple Numbers and the thought leadership efforts on that front. And Mike's playing an important role on that front. So we wanted to talk to him and really understand sort of how they got to the decision to say, hey, we need to be doing the podcast. We need to be doing more of the promotion based on the book. Maybe even a little bit of background on the book itself.
Sure.
that Greg Crabtree had written, and sort of we might even get into the evolution of the firm and the acquisition and all of those things too. So, Mike, can we start with maybe just give us the nickel overview, how, your background, who you are, and where you're at now.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And so hopefully this is not too scary for some people, but I'm born and raised in Erie, Pennsylvania, college athlete. The day after I graduated college, I was in the Army as an explosive ordnance disposal specialist. So if you ever watched the movie The Hurt Locker, you know, that stuff, it seems way cooler in that movie though. But while I was in college, I got an accounting degree. And then while I was in the Army, I got my MBA. And I had always wanted to be in business, but I was one of those guys that's like, man, I don't know if I could come out of school and sit at a desk. And so that's why during my time frame, I had enlisted in the Army. I had a baseball scholarship, and then the Army, finished the rest. And then when I got out, searching around for jobs, and got hired at a firm called Crabtree Rowan Burger. And funny story, they actually found my resume in the trash. Stack of papers got thrown out, and they're like, "Oh, there are resumes here," and they picked it up, and the first one was mine. And next thing you know, I'm sitting here now as a partner at Simple Numbers. We're owned by Carr, Riggs and Ingram. We're a portfolio company. They are a top 20 CPA firm, and we're acquired in 2020 to be their consulting arm. And so that's what I do now. I work with clients, do any intake calls. I do our proposals. I'm really a jack of all trades, master of none. But my favorite thing is working with clients. I have about 50 companies that I work with at any given time. I lead 3 CEO groups. So all in all, just having a good time. Love business, love small business, and love helping entrepreneurs grow and scale.
So, Simple Numbers, and you had said the firm got acquired, and it really to be the consulting arm. For those that are not familiar with Simple Numbers, can we spend a few minutes on that?
Yeah, so Crabtree Rowan Burger for years was a traditional accounting firm, and Greg Crabtree had joined the Entrepreneurs Organization, and he worked in a bank. He's super smart business wise. And for years he had done ad hoc consulting with several clients. And one day someone was like, "Hey man, like you should write a book about this stuff. Like you really have great knowledge." And so around 2010, 2011 timeframe, he wrote Simple Numbers, Straight Talk, Big Profits. And that was really his brain dumped in there of going, hey, here's how our thoughts on how small businesses should be run. And then here are some of the key metrics that we believe really move the needle. And that really took off. And what he had done with several clients was he developed a proprietary financial model that we use. And all of a sudden, when I started right around that time frame, about 2012. He's like, "Hey, we're gonna flip this business model. We're gonna do consulting. People need this sort of financial analysis. I call it a CFO light type service for us to do." And so typical world for me as an entrepreneur calls and they're like, "Hey, Mike, we want to grow, we want to scale, or we want to get better, more profitable, better cash flow. We need forecasting, all those things, David, and any small business owner listening of what they need from that financial analysis side."
Mhm.
So that's what we do for them. And then he came out with the second book. He went really crazy on the naming and named it Simple Numbers 2.0, rules for smart scaling. And that's really that next high level approach that we work with clients on, a lot around capitalization and segment analysis and things like that. But now we are a full-fledged, what I would like to say, a consulting firm that does accounting for our clients. So we still do tax, we still do bookkeeping, but it's for consulting clients only. And so we went full circle. Now the consulting arm is our main deliverable to the marketplace.
Got it. Got it. So who's the typical client that would be a great fit for Simple Numbers, and what can you what makes them a great fit? Is that what are they coming to you? You know, what problems are they coming to you with? What challenges are they having where you can look at it and say, yeah, we can get you dialed in.
Yeah, that's a great question. Because I don't want to rule. I don't like always focusing on company size, because I've worked with companies that are 500,000. I've worked with companies. We work with companies up to 300 million. But I would like to specify more now to an entrepreneur with a really a growth mindset, focused on growing and scaling their business to achieve profitability, make an impact in their community, give back to their employees and people, and really look to maximize the value of that business. You know, small business is the lifeblood of the economy. Those are the type of entrepreneurs we want to work with, and whether that's someone who wants to, do it for a few years and exit, then start another business, or it's just for one person, that whole business the whole time. Our typical range, if I wanted to put on it, is, you see most companies coming to us when they're between about 1 and 20 million. That doesn't mean bigger ones don't or smaller ones don't. But if someone, spin the Russian roulette wheel and said, okay, pull the trigger on who's gonna come in next, I would say a $7 million business, in that ballpark, around there. So this year I think our average company size coming to us is around like 5.5 right now through the start of 2025. And that can fluctuate throughout the year. So what they're typically looking for are just the areas I mentioned and earlier, is they're just, hey, I'm not going to go hire a financial resource where what you guys could probably tell me in a call once a month. And they're willing to pay that. And so they're looking for more out of their data. And you don't have to pay full time. The market. I mean, go right now, try to hire a full time financial analyst for your business. And if you're a $5-7 million business, there's just not enough financial analyzing to do. And that's where we fill that gap for them when they
Mhm.
reach out.
What's their biggest pain point? And then we'll come to how did they get to you, right, via the thought leadership pieces, right? But where's the biggest pain that they have? Is it uh, the path to profitability? Is it we're looking to scale this thing? Is we don't have the capital that we need, or we don't know how much capital we need? What are they typically coming to you with?
I really would love to say it's all of the above, but really, if you just could narrow it down, if I could say a statement that would include it all, it would say wanting to know what the planned outcome looks like based on the pulling of different levers. And so we can't narrow it down to one. You might have some people that come in and they know their profitability is not good, but here you come to find they have a margin and a labor problem. Or you come in and you got some companies that just don't sell very well, or that are spending more, or it's a combination of all of them. But typically their biggest pain point is, okay, if I adjust anything in here, what's going to be my result over here? And seeing that map out across time. And what's the most important thing, David? That cash flow impact of all of that. And
Right.
so that is where I could say that statement sort of encompasses sort of all of those things. And some of that they just might not know, because we might have a sales oriented CEO that comes in and goes, Mike, I can make money. I can sell this left and right. I don't know everything in between, right? So show me where that's at. And then you have a very operational focused CEO that, is just so into it. And you're trying to pull them back to say, hey, I need you to work on the business. And here are all the things you actually need to pay attention to, and not be so down in the weeds wondering why, that Dr. Pepper order was 5 cases instead of 4. That's sort of it. And I hate to be broad with it, but I would narrow it down to what does my planned outcome look like? And I need you to tell me that. And then what's that cash impact to that?
Got it. So from a a demand generation perspective, right? You said, hey, we've got and you're on the front lines of having these initial consultation calls with potential clients. Um, how are they finding you? How do they get to your calendar?
Here's the main ways. One is we just have a great referral network of people that we've worked with over the years. We have a very, very high marks on our consulting service in terms of service delivery, relationships, and I mean you've gotten along for years and have a very good relationship. I'd recommend you, you'd recommend me, and that's really how we've been because the consulting world really is just that. It's a lot of hey, we see each other, we talk data, we learn about each other's families, and so they're very understanding of how much we believe in small business and their companies. And so our referral network is great. The next thing is we do a whole host of speaking events. And it's through various organizations that have found us again, either through a referral, a CEO group that does that, and so we do a lot of speaking engagements. And then obviously the book is out there. We have our podcast, and then we've been associated with several organizations from the business coaching world, like Great Game of Business, EOS, Scaling Up. And then one of our biggest feeders is we have lots of entrepreneurs that are in the entrepreneur organization. And so all of those sort of coming together on a regular basis feed us a lot of great clients to work with.
Obviously, the book that you already talked about that Greg wrote now 15 years ago, roughly 14, 15 years ago. And then the word of mouth referrals, the speaking events and let's talk about the speaking events and the EOS entrepreneur operating system, great game of business, those types of things.
Well, the first thing is Greg's the man, and so so he's obviously does the majority of them. But myself and Brandon Gray do quite a bit, and but not nearly to obviously the man who wrote the book and things like that. So he leads that effort, and so that's good on the business coaches like EOS and all those. That is where they introduce us to clients. So EOS, Great Game, Scaling Up, they do great jobs coaching, and some of their clients in the midst of coaching them have gaps financially, and they're just like, hey, we know some great people that can help you with that, and we've just had success with several of their clients, and so they just send them our way. So it's a really good relationship, and we recommend them out too. We got a lot of clients that look for business coaches on a regular basis, and those are some of the ones we push them towards.
Let's talk about the podcast and the decision to do that, right? There's a lot of energy around podcasting,
Yes.
but it seems to me like there are more stories about started and stopped podcasts than there are the folks who stuck with it for the
Yeah.
long term and got the value. So can we talk about what was the conversation internally where you all decided we need to be doing a podcast, and then let's talk about how long you've been doing that, how that's going, what the plan is.
Yeah, thanks. First of all, we love the podcast. It's our baby. I don't know why me and Brandon have just fallen in love with it, but real quick, I did have our marketing director say to us the other day. She goes, "I want to thank you guys. You're like massively consistent. I mean, we pretty much record an episode every week. Occasionally we miss one, that happens, but 3 out of the 4 weeks a month we do it. We even have a backlog of some right now that are getting pushed out. So we try to release one a week. We keep them about 20, 30 minutes long on usually some topic. But I was on the phone with our marketing director and Mr. Carr, and obviously the Carr of Carr Riggs and Ingram. And I was like, "Hey, Mr. Carr, we would love to do some more stuff. And we have great content. People love listening to us. We speak a lot, we write things, and people are really receptive to that. What do you think?" And he's like, I was just shocked. I went for it and asked him. And he's just like, "Let's do it." And so I credit him with giving the green light on that. And so we started it up, and now it's just everybody who's called lately to work with us is like, oh man, I listen to your guys' podcast. And for any of you that don't know, real quick, it's the Simple Numbers Profitability Playbook Podcast. It's a mouthful. I got called like P cubed, right? I was like P cubed Profitability Playbook Podcast. But it's available on all platforms. But really, we just get on there and banter about financial topics. And I wish it would be more intricate, but I might talk to David about something and he might bring something up to me, and I go to Brandon and I'm like, "Hey man, we need to like spend 20 minutes talking about this on the podcast." And that's what we do. And we're starting to have more guests on. We're starting to bring more guests to talk various topics. We had a great marketing guest. We've had our legacy trust company on the other day to talk funding, business funding. We've done media matches where we've just gone over articles in the Wall Street Journal and stuff like that. So we have a good time. It's really fun. But I'm with you, David. Consistency is key there, and so we have a standing appointment every week, Tuesday mornings, 9:30. We're recording one.
Yeah, very good, very good. And and you said you've got some sort of in the a buffer of them, a queue of them coming
Yes.
up, but the plan is you stay the course.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. And it's just now, what do you do to keep making it entertaining? I'm trying to get Brandon. I'm like, dude, we got to talk some other stuff. Like I'm not saying like Joe Rogan level, and I'm not saying we need to dive into politics or anything like that, but we got to talk some other stuff. Like, have a little bit of fun banter. I want some more of that. I'm trying to get Brandon over there, but he's always nervous I'm going to go off the rails. So I think that that's why he's like, dude, I don't know what's going to come out of your mouth. And I'm like, well, you do got a point, but I have some excuses, right? So
That's good. Well, and so what you're speaking to there is by broadening the topics, it's also about authenticity, right?
yes,
So all of Mike's clients know what you see is what you get, right? He's a straight shooter. If he's got an opinion, he's gonna give you that opinion, and and I think to some extent that's coming through in the podcast, and maybe it would come through even more, right? If by opening up some of those additional things.
oh yeah, right, yeah, exactly. And so I when it comes to the podcast, I just really want I just know that no matter what, it can get dry. And I'll give everyone a great podcast listen out there. It's called Mind Pump. I was just looking for the name of it here to try to tell you guys. It's called Mind Pump. It's a fitness podcast. I dig that stuff. They spend like, and I'm not saying I want our podcast to be like this. They spend the first 30 minutes just talking about stuff. Like, it's like, when the fitness stuff going to come in here? And it just random, and it's entertaining. And by the time you get to the fitness stuff, you're like, oh, okay. And you actually I actually sort of like them now, just to hear their thoughts on some stupid topic that they pull up. And they're engaging, they're funny, and they're not controversial. I mean, they say some things, but it's not like that. And so I joke with Brandon, we got to go there, but stay tuned for that. But I just don't want it to get dry. I just know that every time you're talking about things, and that's why we try to keep it to 20, 30 minutes. It's like, most people in a car, their drives, if you're living in any city, it probably takes 20, 30 minutes to get around where you're going. You can knock it out and get on your treadmill, 30-minute walk, knock it out, and you'll be done with this. We try to keep it around that.
If you could share a financial lesson from your work with Simple Numbers clients, and what would it be? What would be the thing that you say, hey, we've had multiple clients come down this path, and obviously, you won't be naming clients, but if you could describe something for us that somebody's kind of gone through the journey, they came to you with the challenge, they took the advice and put the advice into action. Can you give us a situation where a client came to you and that transformation happened?
I'm going to give you a group of them because I always tell you about them when we've talked and things like that. Is these IT MSPs I work with? They came to us as a group through a group program years ago, and we've been still working within the same group capacity since then. We still have several members in there. And I've just been real impressed with the group's ability to listen. That when I get on calls with them, they are all moving the needle in the way. And so what I mean is IT MSPs, by the way, the background on them. If you're a small business, you probably have an outsourced IT department to some degree. If you do it in house, that's fine, but that's what they do. And so help desk tickets and they fix your stuff and order your equipment and do all that IT stuff. But one thing I love about their business is that every lever has to be looked at and accounted for in their business. So when you get on the phone with one of them, they definitely got to be selling. We all got to do that. The second one is they do have margins they got to worry about. And the margin thing gets tricky because they're very reliant on third party vendors, meaning they deal a lot with Microsoft, Kaseya, and all these other programs that they're purchasing and passing it through for their clients. So cybersecurity programs, two-factor authenticate, all that stuff that they're packaging and selling to their clients as part of their program. So there's lots of margin things they got to pay attention to right there. So you're watching their price increases, their margin movement. The next thing is their labor. They got techs and high-priced IT people, and if they're running divisions where they're running cybersecurity along with their IT managed services, and then maybe consulting and cloud services and all this stuff, and then they got their overall costs. They're going to have a building, they're going to have their own stuff, they're going to have data center costs and everything a business has. And so when we first started working to them, you really could hone in on that. Hey, this is a business, an industry that can run close at or above or close to 70% margins. Labor efficiency, we talk about that. Gross margin per labor dollar. For the direct labor side, $3.50. For the management labor side, $3.50. And in simple numbers world, I think from Greg's book, they're right in line. Overall labor efficiency, gross margin to all labor, $1.90 to 210. And when we first started working with them, they were all over the place with it. And now I get on the calls and they appreciate the hell out of us, so I love it. But they're all moving that needle. They are massively aware. They know if their margins slip. They're always moving it. We don't have any issues with them not increasing prices. They're aware that where their labor efficiency needs to be. And even in a down time, most of them have the business very dialed in. And so even if they aren't getting the necessary sales in for a quarter or two, they don't just go right into the negative. They're very controlled. They're not overhired. Their margins aren't suffering. So, hey, we have a sales dip. It's just that we know we're going to lose it. We just got to sell some more to get back to where we need to be. And they're very meticulous about when they add labor and switching it out. And so, honestly, I swear sometimes I get on calls with them and they just lead it. And they're telling me how they need to do it. And I'm just checking them on it. And it's been a great relationship. And I've obviously challenged them and we've looked to do some different things, but where they've come from and where they are now as a group, um, it's great. And they know it, which is really cool to see.
You said you brought them on as a group. Where did that opportunity come from? How did they come to Simple Numbers?
Yeah, so we have a good relationship with a company called Technology Marketing Toolkit, and so what they do is they help IT companies um, market. And they have a very awesome CEO, by the way. Her name's Robin Robbins, and she's always had a relationship with us and Greg. And they came to us and they're like, "Hey, we want to add more value to our members, so they have resources to not only do marketing stuff, but add value in there because they have a community approach, like we do. We just started doing a group benefit with them. And so that's really it. It's that easy. And next thing you know, we've been doing it for years and their members still do it with us. I think we run two groups with them now. And we run a smaller IT group and then we run the ones that are a little bit bigger. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's good. So more of that referral network piece of things. In the work that you've done, conversations that you've had, speaking engagements, maybe that Greg did, the podcast, the book. Did you? Has there ever been a time where you gave away a lot of information, and that then led to a major client. It led to multiple clients. And what I'm asking here is the, kind of the give before you get. I'm
Yes.
curious. You all provide a lot of information, right? The book is $20 or less, and obviously it can be a calling card. But has there been a situation where maybe there was a conversation about, should we do this or not? Feel like we're giving away a lot, and then sure enough, it came back around and provided you with benefit.
So this past year, and I mean 2024, we went to all of our clients, and the offer still stands to them. Any CEO group that they're in, any mastermind group, whatever, we'll give an hour presentation. No cost, no anything, no soliciting. We
Mhm.
just hop on there and talk finance and do our simple numbers presentation. Um, Sometimes they've asked us to focus on some things like maybe pricing strategy or something like that, but we just go on there and do it. And we've always been that way because we believe that it will come back around, and it has. I gave a talk to a group about mid last year, late last year in that ballpark. There were 8 people in the CEO group. I ended up getting 2 clients out of that. And It was, I mean, I enjoyed it. It wasn't, I mean, it was nice. It's marketing, and it was fun. I didn't, no solicit. It was just pure, hey, labor efficiency. This is what it is. This is how you measure it. This, utilize it in your company. And we do that. And so we've tried to be friendly like that. We do a lot of speaking engagements. If people saw our speaking fees, they'd be like, "What the hell are you doing?" And we're like, basically, like, well, we're not. We know we don't get rich off of speaking engagements. That's not what we're trying to do. Speaking engagements to us are a marketing, and we don't want to turn it down because the value is getting in front of 100 people, not getting paid to be in front of 100 people, right? And
Mm.
so, we try to make that massively affordable to speak to any business group, any organization, anything along the way. And so that's just real important to us. So I think if anything, man, we overserve at every level to try to get people in. I mean, from all day events to we took road shows for a while. We did simple numbers road shows where we traveled to a few different cities and just put on a free presentation, and anyone can show up and listen. We traveled, we paid the money. Again, that's marketing expense to us, and
Yeah.
it really helped.
So you're not the point there, the takeaway is that your business isn't public speaking, and putting Greg on massive stages to collect which in the world of authors, right? There's quite a bit of that
Yes,
where authors will have a book, and then if someone wants them to come to their event,
$20,000.
there's a
Yeah,
speaking fee, right? It's going to be 10 or $20,000
yeah,
plus travel expenses and so on. And you all have taken it and said, no, these are marketing opportunities.
yes,
What I find so fascinating is let's just lead with value. Let's just provide value. Even if in a speaking engagement we say, hey, Mike, we'd really like you to cover small business forecasting in this. Okay, well then you're going to shape the presentation
yes,
around what they've asked for. Again, you're not charging them for it. And in your example of 8 CEOs in a room, and you closed a quarter of them,
yeah,
not bad, right?
right, yeah.
Not bad at all. So I think that makes sense. Has there been a time where you felt like you led with value, you led with thought leadership, and it just didn't pan out where you had to make a pivot?
Yeah, we have tried some workshop offerings over the years, or we tried to push it out and thinking we could win on that alone. Like, oh, hey, simple numbers is coming. Look at us. This is what we do. Come do that. It just didn't work out. You almost got to uh how do I say it, like, warm them up a little bit. It's you have to get them because, believe it or not, even though you might have a book or you do this or a part of this firm, it's amazing. America's big, and it's amazing how many people did not um, hear about us. And
Yeah.
so that's why we do the presentations and try to get in there because man, there's a lot of times. One time we did a road show in a city and had one person show up.
Did you close them?
No, because we really didn't do anything. We just all BS for a little bit, ate and left. And we flew there and everything, paid for food. No one, and we learned a lot from that, marketing it out and stuff like that to do. But the good news is when we were there, we got to go see some clients. So we actually did, we made the most out of it while we were there. But what I feel is that you gotta push the content. You gotta say, hey, we're gonna get in with somebody who knows it and they're offering it and this is what they're going to do. I just think you got to lead with something. You got to give them something first and have them go, oh, wow, this is great. I'll then go. So we work with a couple business groups. And the reason we got those business groups is because we did lead with, hey, let's do a presentation. Let's introduce you all to simple numbers. And then we're going to see if you want to work with us in a group capacity after that. And it worked that way. But it's only because we gave first and we had a coordinated effort with other people, because it's just amazing how many people don't. So even in the thought leadership side, I think you got to remember that even you might think you're a thought leader and some people think you're a thought leader. Not everyone thinks you're a thought leader. So you got to figure
Yeah.
out how to navigate that piece, which we had to learn a few times on.
Yeah, no, it's interesting, and I always smile when there's the self-proclaimed thought leader, and then you try to go a little bit deeper, and you're like, I don't
Mm,
I don't see the thought leadership,
yeah,
right?
that's
So I think the thing that I took away from that though is you've had success where you're brought into these targeted audiences who have obviously already built a trust relationship with their audience.
yeah,
So you're getting you're in essence a vetted presenter coming
yes.
in, somebody who could add value. So that approach has worked really well for you. Where when you try to go out and just beat the simple numbers drum, that you're not getting the same response. I think that the lesson here is in amplifying thought leadership.
Mhm.
If you know who your target audience is, understand who already has your target audience and develop those relationships.
And you still do have to have a marketing approach though, and I think that's where we missed the ball a little bit. Like, if someone told me right now, pick a city, um, any city, and you got to show up and give a presentation, you got to get people there. I would go about it a totally different way.
Okay.
I'd call the chamber. I'd send a
Mhm.
boatload of books. I'd call people familiar in maybe business coaching circles or business group circles and see who's in that area. Send them books and be like, hey, listen, can you send this out to your clients? Here's 50 of them. Send them out and let them know that we're giving a presentation on this stuff in 2 weeks for free. Show up, food and all. We're here to do it. Um, I would have done it a different way. We underestimated the marketing effort behind that approach. And I think that's it. That's important. You still, because remember, even when you're a thought leader, I believe you're your own little mini business as yourself, right? So every little business has to have a marketing apparatus. And even though you're a thought leader, the thought leadership isn't just going to market itself, is what we learned. You still gotta really throw some heavyweights behind that.
Love that. I think that might be one of the quotes coming out of here, right? Your thought leadership isn't going to market itself.
Yeah, that's right.
So
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
right, the promotion, you may have the greatest ideas, you may have the book,
Hmm.
right? You may have
Yeah.
actually gone through and taken the time and the effort and put it together, but in the end, if it's sitting in the desert, doesn't matter. It doesn't. And so promoting it to these groups that already have your audience makes a lot of sense. So then to that extent, you all have gotten better at marketing to the groups that have that audience.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah. Now we sort of like, if someone told us tomorrow, like, oh, go present to an entrepreneurs organization group or something like that, we sort of know what we're doing. But we had to learn the hard way on that other stuff of going, whoa, like maybe we're not as important as we think we are, or something like that. With it, you have to really do it. It's the thought isn't going to carry out, on its own. So it's still marketing. It's still really there, and it's yeah. And again, going back to the podcast thing, that's one way we're trying to do it. And let me tell you something. If you want to talk about pushing something, I don't know if I've pushed anything as hard as I'm trying to push that podcast. I get on anything. I do anything. I mean, I'm at my kids' soccer games like, oh, hey, I have a podcast. It's like,
Oh no,
yeah,
yeah, Mike's that dad.
yeah, right, yeah, yeah. And it's like really, I'm not trying to like get a girlfriend or anything. I'm just trying to like push the podcast out.
That's amazing. Obviously, you're in the financial consulting market. What's the thing that you're seeing now that most prospective clients are missing? That they're not understanding that that you feel like the thought leadership content that you all have produced, the book, the podcast, the speaking engagements that can help them with. What when you're doing the consulting, what are the common trends that you're hearing?
Right now, and I'm going to quote my man Greg Crabtree. I think we have a poster around here that says it's a street fight economy right now. We
Oh,
actually the COVID timeframe for a lot of industries, not all of them, because there's some people listening to this like, what the hell? COVID wasn't like that for me. We had so much money floating in the marketplace that, man, you just were able to grab business pretty easy. It's just there. Money, capital, interest rates were low. I mean, just raging across the board. When that all sort of dried up, and we're now in this inflationary environment, which is what happens when you print two U.S. economies. You're in this inflationary environment. We got the tariff situation right now, and you got just the economy. You take out government spending. We've probably been in a recession for a year and a half. You got tightening labor. We're not producing as much babies. We have a shrinking labor market. All these things happening, and so they sort of got away from some of the fundamentals that pre-COVID we preached about your margins, about price increases, about managing your labor, about controlling your costs, and where those all needed to fall. And they haven't realized that, hey, you really now got to go grab that customer. Marketing is not as easy as it was. Um, People aren't just like, oh, there's my Google ad and clicking it and it works. It's a lot. It's a lot more. You got to go take that customer. They're just not going to willy nilly show up. So what do you see coming back? You see a lot more. You see the networking events. You see, the shaking hands, kissing babies approach now. Like, oh man, I have to go out and meet my customers and shake their hands and tell them what about my business. And a lot of that stuff is back now. And so some of them are missing that. Hey, it's gonna be tough, and that doesn't mean you can't succeed. But some of the things in the past that might not have worked, or might have worked, are not working now, and you have to adjust fire. You might have to add some services, expand your offering, or what have you to get more of the market share.
What's the street fighting that you and the Simple Numbers team have done here over the as you've seen that transition? What can you give us some behind the scenes on your thought leadership efforts? Either the next book, the maybe an upcoming podcast topic, a project in the works.
Yeah.
What's
So for us, our big thing right now is our Simple Numbers community. We have switch business models. So real quick, you know this. You call us, we work together, we do models and calls, and we support you, and we do other things like incentive comp plan, stuff like that. We still do all that. That's part of it. But as companies have left us, I mean, most of our clients stay with us about 3 to 5 years, which is great. It's awesome for consulting. Um, Eventually they know what they're looking at. They get it and they can implement it, and they have people on their team that can implement it, and they go forward with it. And so that's great. And we always ask them though, like, hey, if you could have stayed, what could we have done to perhaps keep you here? And this is crazy, but the answer has always been more. And so we're like, okay, enlighten us. So we spent about a year or two hearing that and asking the question. And then me and Brandon one day were like, you know what? We need to go to a community approach, meaning we need to intertwine our entrepreneurs. We need to intertwine topics and learning and education and value and bring them all together so we can share it with them and they can share it with us and our other clients. And so now when you work with us, you get the models and calls, but what do we have now? Peer groups. What do we have now? Monthly entrepreneur coaching calls. If you are in our highest level, you actually do get 2 calls with Greg a year. You get a call with our M&A advisor company. You get access to a business coach once a year to have a rundown of your company. Priority scheduling. We're still working on getting it all set up, but our community chat, where we're going to have everybody on there and you're going to chat and topics and discussion. And our clients can go, hey, I need a marketing company, or I need a company like David on the thought leadership side. Who do I talk to? Like, hey, David over here, he's got that stuff. Like, go talk to him. He can help you. We want to be there for that, and connect that world. Just because we're so intertwined with it. Any given time, we're consulting with, 250, 300 businesses across the U.S. and internationally who have awesome stuff. And while we like to believe that we're awesome, they're awesomer, and which is why we're in business, and we want them to tell people about it and tell us about their stuff and share what they're doing, and then help our own clientele with it. So right now, that is our main initiative on the thought leadership side, is our simple numbers community, which we're looking to grow, expand, and resources to.
Yeah, interesting, right? It's a uh, for several reasons. One is that you talk to your clients and they said we want more,
Yeah.
right? That's awesome. We love what you guys do. We want more of it. And then two, you this is a pretty significant pivot to the
Yeah.
business. I mean, you had to stand all this up to make it happen, but in the end, it's hey, if they stay for an extra 20%, right? Then
Mhm.
that's really valuable. So they're saying I'm getting so much value that the initial relationship where Mike's helping me navigate the black hole,
Mhm.
which we haven't even talked about, right? But
Right.
by providing that additional value, they keep coming. They stay with you and potentially grow their business in the process because of the solution that you brought to them. So yeah, fascinating, right? That was your solution to more.
Yeah, and
So
and
yeah,
the community too meets them at different levels. And so, for example, we have our base level, which is a lot of our traditional stuff we had done. That a company that's small might come in and be like, "Hey, listen, right now that's our appetite. Good, we have an offering for you. Hey, you're a company that's growing and scaling. We have a premium offering that, hey, maybe even for our most you don't have time for, but for this one, you got it. And hey, you got peer groups in here and stuff like that. And then there's our one where, hey, we are a solidified company. We got it going down. We're going to take our highest package because that is more such high level stuff. And so it's trying to meet companies where they're at, where before it was really a one size fits all approach. And this meets companies at different level to put them in areas where they can utilize it. And then they can move up and down. Like let's say they continue to go and they're like, you know what, I want to be up at that next level because of where we're at, where we're going, and sign on for that and do it. So it's so far so good. It's we've asked everyone to say, hey, we're learning and doing it, but we've been doing it the same way for a long time. And like I said, it's a street fight economy. And this isn't just for us to make money. This is actually, believe it or not, listening to our customers and doing it. And honestly, our increase in fees for this on our stuff is minimal compared to what we've added. And and obviously, and the reason why, real quick, David, just to add this in, the reason why we're able to keep it very affordable is because we've actually been doing all this stuff, just sort of ad libbing it as we go. Like, oh, you know what? Let's have a random call this month on marketing, and we just do it. And now we're like, maybe we should just schedule this and make it a regular thing. Um,
yeah,
and so
and
for
get credit for it,
yeah,
right?
right, yeah, and so it was a good approach, but it was a classic case of listening to your customer. And I think in this market, in this economy, if one takeaway for people listening on the finance side, be listening, because it's going to tell you, and that's where you're going to have to take your fight is they're going to tell you where you need to go, and you got to push it there. And that this was our answer to the stone, quote unquote street fight.
Mike, what's one lesson that you can share on the subject matter expertise on the thought leadership side that you learned the hard way?
Growth is hard. And when you're trying to put yourself out there and do things, um, especially on the thought leadership side, where, hey, we're doing presentations or we're doing a podcast, we're doing it, you forget about, you just think the idea is going to work and that everyone's going to take it. And there's so much work, so many resources, and you need key team members to do it. We couldn't have launched our community without our community manager, Rita. We couldn't have done, some of the things me and Brandon have done without having a strong consulting team behind us. This would never have happened. And you think sometimes that like, oh, hey, I'm just going to go do this and it works. Like I said, on the marketing side, but man, there's a lot of stuff you're going to have to put out, from content to the marketing, like I mentioned, to setting things up to, you got to have resources, not only teammates, but then you got to have either trusted advisors or partners or some sort of level of support that helps you get there. It is not going to be like, boom, I'm a thought leader. I mean, it's going to be like someone like yourself who's in this world who can help clients, customers do that. They need people like you to help them. Like, it's not going to be, you just don't say, hey, tomorrow I'm going to take this approach, read a couple books, post some things online, and people are going to love it. Oh, no, no. The thought
Yeah.
leadership world is going to take David. It's going to take a team, a couple team members. It's going to take an admin person. It's a whole apparatus. It is not just a snap your fingers, it happens approach. And I think that's what sort of, I'm not saying all the time. I'm just saying we have lessons along the way where that smacked us in the face. We're like, oh yeah, we forgot about that, and had to reassess.
Yeah, and I think that kind of comes back to the not even just the your thought leadership isn't going to market
Yeah,
itself,
right. Yeah.
but also you shared with us the value. You're leading with value, and that has brought people to you. As we wrap up here, if you think about your target client, let's say a $5 to $10 million in revenue company,
Mhm.
and they're thinking about doing a thought leadership effort. They're saying, it's time. There's this gap in our industry. There are plenty of subject matter experts, but what's missing is that icon in the industry. What advice would you give them? What piece of advice would you give that company to say, hey, if you're serious about this, follow this advice?
So just like with any business, what are they doing? They have the main thing, right? And the main thing is they do that. And this is like adding a segment to it, right? So you're adding a segment of thought leadership to your business. Remember the three tenets of business. I got to find out what the market wants. I got to find out how to do it profitably. And then I got to tell everybody about it, right? Same tenets apply to that thought leadership. And you got to treat it like that in your business. Don't let it take away from your main thing. Treat it like that in your business. And then see how the main thing sort of supports that. Like for us, we write so many things, record so many things that we're like doing some things that we're like, holy cow, we recorded this. Like we wrote this. Like, let's use it and help support that side of the business. Don't let it take away your main thing, because you got to get that right in order to support the thought leadership side of it. And so as you're doing it, treat that thought leadership side like a new segment of the business. How do we do it profitably? How do we tell everybody about it? How do we fund it? How do we add resources to it? And don't take it lightly, because you're going to end up wasting a lot of time and money. No different than any other segment in the business. Even when Greg goes to speak or we go to speak, we still treat it like a project that is going to happen, and we're going to do this. It all has a whole apparatus. It has not changed how we approach doing a speaking engagement versus that. Now, do we look to make money on it? No, we want to break even and we want to, do that stuff. But and we're aware of its marketing value. But for some businesses, like you're talking about, a $5 to $10 million business, hey, you're cranking, you're still growing, and you want to add thought leadership. Approach it like you were adding a new product. How are we going to do it profitably? How are we going to tell everybody about it? And develop that. So that's my recommendation on that side to businesses who want to do it.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that's excellent advice. Well, Mike, I really appreciate you investing the time here and sharing the success that you've had on the simple numbers thought leadership side of things. How can people best find you and your team?
Yeah, simplenumberscri.com. That's where we're at. And like I said, check us out there, and definitely go check out the Simple Numbers Profitability Playbook podcast. You can go on YouTube, Simple Numbers. You'll find us. So we've really done a good job of building that up. Google Simple Numbers, you'll find us. So we've done a good job of doing that. But simplenumberscri.com is the website. And, you have any questions or anything like that, reach out. Send it. You want to hear a topic on the podcast, send that out as well. Yeah, pretty easy to get a hold of us. We're out there for sure. And hey, hit me up on LinkedIn too. I'm a big deal on LinkedIn, sort of.
Excellent, excellent. All right. Well, Mike, thanks so much, and hopefully, folks, you got tremendous value from today's session. I want to thank Mike Maxson for investing the time with us and sharing his thought leadership journey as well.
Hey,
So
thank you,
until
David.
next
I
time,
appreciate it.
all righty. Take care.
See ya.